Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? Well, with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills. Wait, did I say job title yet? Get started today and see how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome to this mini episode of the Wilderness Podcast. Wasn't sure if we wanted to do like a full episode, and then I figured, you know what, let's do a little bit of a mini episode because I'm a little backed up on edits, but also there's not a lot going on this week in terms of news. But Heartless, by the way, Heartless, hello, you're there.
Hello.
We've spent some time in the wilderness, so I thought, you know what, maybe we could just do this mini episode. It's a little bit different, but then we can get a little more loosey-goosey with the format. I think I talked about it last episode, so this might be 2 episodes in a row. I mentioned hardcore history, but Dan Carlin, the host of the show, they called it Blitz episodes, where it was just supposed to be like quick episodes, like mini episodes, where he didn't have to go super in detail. He could just give us thoughts on like some sort of topic. It was a little bit of a different format. So the Blitz episodes were always like, they're going to be a little bit more loose. And then they turned into like 7-hour episodes like other hardcore history episodes are. And it
Hilarious.
Doesn't matter. Yeah. Anyway, so I kind of was like, you know what? Let's pull some inspiration from that show. Let's bring it to the RuneScape world. And yeah, we can just kind of dive into things. We don't even have any news to talk about. So we're just going to kind of jump right into things. Harless, is there anything you wanted to talk about before we talk about the Wildy Bosses?
No, let's just dive right into it.
Cool. Okay. So the Wilderness Bosses came out. Has it only been a week?
Yeah, about a week.
Okay. I don't know about you, but I was really looking forward to these bosses, but they turned out to like be way more fun than I was expecting.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I 100% agree.
Awesome. So what has your experience been like? Or I should ask you, what about the update have you enjoyed so far?
Well, obviously as an Iron, I enjoy that you can do like you can do group bossing with people and still get adequate rewards. I just think it's great for everyone. It's great for PVMers. There's solo versions, like easy versions of each boss, if you don't want to go up into multi and deal with the teams. I think the way they've handled it is just great. All the upgrades are they're really powerful, but they're not like, I don't think they're too much. It's just overall, and then obviously the Void Waker is just a crazy item,
Yeah.
Which is kind of fun. Originally, I thought like, oh, I'm gonna hate PKers having another item to kill me with, but like honestly, they kind of deserve some love. It's been pretty bad out there recently, and it's expensive as hell. So it means that the PvP is having a good PvP weapon like that. It means that, you know, the bosses are going to be relevant for a long time because each Void Waker piece is like 120 mil or something. So it kind of balances both sides out. And to be honest, I think maybe community ideas towards PvP weapons has maybe changed a little bit, especially with seeing how the Void Waker came into the game. Because it is based on the Karasi, which was from like, I guess, RS2 or something.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know why, but during the poll blogs, I was kind of like, okay, this is it Void Walker?
Void Waker, I'm pretty sure.
Void Waker. Anyways, this new sword, I was like, okay, this new sword's coming to the game for PvPers, whatever. What's the big whoop? But I kind of I glossed over it a little bit. And now that it's out, it's like, holy shit, this thing looks strong. It's a strong melee weapon, but then what's so cool is the spec is magic. So if you're attacking someone and they pray melee to avoid your, your standard hits, you turn on the spec, it's going to hit right through the prayer.
Yeah, and it hit like 70s. It's crazy.
So it's really strong. And then what I realized, and I think, Carlos, you told me because we were doing a little bit of Wildy Bosses the other day, but I didn't realize that the Void Walker sword was also really good for PVM.
Yeah, it is.
Apparently.
It's insane. It's like better than claws at certain places, which is kind of nice because I don't have claws, but honestly, claws are just so good at every single boss. I think it's nice that there's a little bit of competition for spec weapons, for high-powered, high DPS spec weapons that we haven't really seen in a long time. It's usually you're either lowering their defense or you're clawing them out. Those are basically the only two options. And if you can't afford claws, you're doing Crystal Halley. So I like that there's another alternative now that there's like a melee based, but mage damage. Like the Voidwaker does mage damage. So it's just cool. I really like it. So it's great at Toa. It's great at a few other bosses. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's definitely making an impact in PVM.
Do you so part of the complaints about the Wildy bosses before, there was tons of complaints, and we talked about it last episode a bit, but one of the complaints that a lot of specifically like non-PvPers, these were just like general complaints that people felt like you had to go into the wilderness in order to get PVM or skilling items like the dragon pickaxe, and then people didn't like how you had to get the, some of the rings. Was it the treasonous ring?
You're talking specifically Iron Man, right?
I guess mostly Iron.
That problem is only for Iron Man because mains can just go to the G and spend 6 mil on it. Yeah, they can go fuck themselves, honestly, because you sign up for the game mode, you do all the bosses, and I'll be damned if I'm not going to jump on board by saying Wildy bosses are fun. I liked them before when most people didn't. I think now they're even more fun. And there are so many options for you to do it. Yeah, probably the dragon pickaxe shouldn't have been there, but I have no problems at all with a good but niche PVM spec weapon being available through the bosses. I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
And if
do you think
anything,
it's going to cause like a tension?
No, because you can do it in teams now. So like you can just go with your mates, and you can just go, like you and I were doing. We were smashing Callisto with like 7 people, and there's probably more efficient ways to do it. But you can go with a small group and do the bosses, and then you can fight back. It's fun, man. I think there's a lot to be gained from these bosses, and I think people need to broaden their horizons a little bit more. Especially now that the bosses aren't cringe to kill in the open.
Yeah, true. I really like them. As you mentioned, like the PVM part of it, I haven't done PvP. I haven't gone PKing at the bosses. It's something I do want to do, but I just haven't done it yet. Or maybe the one time I did do it, I got killed instantly. So we're not going to talk about that time. But I've been doing some PVM, and it has been awesome. I really love it. And it feels like it's like the first true multi bosses that we're getting, or group bosses. And the reason I say that is because like I have some friends that play this game, and they're like lower levels, and they're maybe kind of newbie, and they look at the stuff that we're all doing, and they're like, that looks cool. How can I raid? And then it's like, I hate to say this, but you're like very far from raiding.
Yeah.
In terms of stats, gear, and then actual skill, like to do it.
I totally agree. And then like Nex is the only other one that really stands out as a big group boss, which it is. But the gear requirements to get into Nex are just criminally high. Like if you're taking your low level friends to Nex, they're just going to get destroyed because of how the mechanics work there. So I think you're right. Like you can get into this with low budget. You can start, going for these nice tier items. The money is good, but not like great. So yeah, I think it's awesome.
Yeah, and like I took a group once to Bandos because they wanted to try it out, but because Bandos has like the old loot system, these new bosses have this new loot system where everyone gets a piece of the pie. Everybody gets a little bit of loot if you've dealt damage to it. But Bandos doesn't do that. It only gives loot to whoever does the most damage. So when I took this group of newbie friends, they were all like, okay, this boss is cool, but it's less fun when you're not getting your own drops. You're like, okay, it's cool. You're getting all the drops, whatever. But so the other night, brought some friends out. We went to do Callisto as a group, and was like, what do I need? And I was like, really? Just bring like a rune crossbow, maybe some ruby bolts or diamond bolts, or you just bring some reg gear that you don't worry about losing. We'll get a big enough group that we'll easily kill it. And we were doing it, and it was just like, this is awesome. Like, I'm having an awesome time. Like, this boss is pretty easy to kill, but also a little bit sketchy because it can do a lot of damage. The money is like decent. It's not crazy, but it's good enough that you walk out of there and being like, oh wow, is that a mill in my loot bag I've got? Damn. It was just really easy to sit there and farm it.
It's powerful update. And I think I was joking. I was being a little aggressive towards irons because I do like the Wildy. But I mean, you don't need a Voidwaker. You can go and get claws if you want, and they're going to be better in most cases anyways. And you know, you just use a DDS or a Chali. Like no one's forcing you to go for this like minor niche upgrade. I think it's cool because then it's so powerful in PvP. It keeps the prices high, keeps everyone going. And I think overall it's a great thing, as well as the fact that they change Revenants now so that it's really, really reasonable to go for Revenant's weapons on an Iron Man. I had 2 of them before the update. I'm missing a crossbow, which is the most powerful of the 3. And I'm currently working towards it, the crossbow. And I dialed in the hours at about 35 hours to get it, including Turiel skipping. But obviously, considering I have like a good Turiel skipping setup and a good block list already set, which is not bad. And that's not even considering the fact that you could get other drops. So like to get any one of them, it's probably like 12 hours or something, which is insane, where it used to be like 100 to just get a drop, to hit the table. So I think that update also makes it a lot more tempting for Iron Man. If you're out there looking for a Revs weapon, small advice I give is use the Revenant Knight safe spot, which is pretty easy to find on YouTube. And then, because they won't heal, so you can absolutely destroy them with a rune crossbow or an MSB. The money is great there. They just shit out alkables. You just go in Turiel skip until you get a task, and then you send the task. And the best part is that your Turiel boosts are going up at the same time. So like, let's say I do a Cristelia task, a Wildy task, and I don't like it. I go in Turiel skip it. My regular task streak will go up to 1. I grab a task from Wilderness again. I don't like it. I skip it. My regular task will go up to 2. So when you do get to 10 or to 50, you can choose to do a regular task. So what I've been doing is every 50, I'm going to Konar and just doing whatever she gives me. And I'm getting a boatload of Slayer points while skipping for Revenants. It's a really cool method. Yeah, you can just log out too if people come at the Revenant Knight. It's a pretty overpowered spot. I think they should probably nerf it because it seems like silly. But still, like it's only 1 in 440 to get a drop there, and you can use Bracelets of Slaughter. It's really powerful.
So, but you find it's worth getting the Slayer task and then killing them versus just farming them nonstop?
Yeah, math-wise, it's a lot faster to go for tasks than it is to just sit there and farm them skulls.
Oh, that's surprising. I wouldn't think that.
Yeah, I thought so too, but we ran the numbers, which I did not run, but I watched Alfie go through them, and yeah, it seems like it's a pretty clear choice to do it on task.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great.
So anyways, that like everything sort of rolled up together. And the fact that, I mean, you compare the Void Waker to, which is like let's call it a niche PVM item, versus the Dragon Pickaxe, which is kind of like a pretty important skilling item. They're not really comparable. So it did suck for people that didn't really like PVM to be forced to go to the wilderness to go and do these bosses to get a Dragon Pickaxe, which has nothing to do with killing wilderness bosses. That kind of was a feels bad, but this is different because you're going for like a really powerful niche spec weapon. I think the people that would be interested in getting that type of weapon wouldn't mind so much being in the wilderness and might even, enjoy some of the upgrades they could get out there and the new content they could experience. So I think overall, it's a great choice.
Yeah, I guess it was tricky before when it was just the Dragon Pick. Like they put the Dragon Pick on these boss tables because, well, we had the axe, the Dragon Axe from DK's way back, and they figured, hey, how can we bring more people into the wilderness? How can we buff up these wilderness bosses? Let's add a Dragon Pick to them. That's what they did. But I guess part of the problem was as time went on, you started needing more and more Dragon Pickaxes. You needed one for, you need one for Toa now. You need one for, like, I like to have one just for Guardians of the Rift.
Toa's a bit of a sink, isn't it? I wonder how many Dragon Pickaxes are sitting in Toa.
Oh, it's got to be tons.
Tons.
Yeah. So the price of Dragon Picks is crashing because it's just easier to get in general. It's found in more spots.
That seems fine, right? Like it's a skilling item and it's not going to drop to 35k. It might drop to $1 million or 500k, but does it really matter? It's such a small upgrade over a rune pick. It's like 6 or 7% better.
Yeah.
Mining, which is significant, but like it's not an insane upgrade. But it is one that basically every Iron Man wants to get at some point, and you kind of want it earlier on your account. You want it when you get to 61 mining.
True.
So it used to feel really bad, but nowadays there's options. Volcanic Mine is a really fun mini game. You could do Calphite Queen, go for your KQ head at the same time as you're going for your D pick. You You could go do some group bosses and just rag bolt. And there's tons of options now. And I think that's probably how it should have been in the first place.
Yeah, it's things are starting to fall in like a real good spot. Because like even in the wilderness, from like a PvP perspective, there wasn't really a whole lot of places you could PK as a group. Whenever we tried, we just as a clan, we just never did any PKing events because like where would you go? You spend the whole time running around looking for people, and then you end up preying on like solo PVMers, which is like that's not really that much fun. That's not fun for anybody. So you just didn't do it. Rev Caves was a good spot to PK. It was a good spot, but you had to go solo, basically. So it was busy enough. You could find fights, but you're all by yourself. But this new piece of content really falls into a good spot where like, okay, I can definitely see this being fun for a group of PvPers wanting to go out and, you know, find people PVMing. And then from a PVM standpoint, it's not that hard not to die. It's pretty easy.
Exactly. Unless the team's big, right? Mm-hmm. Especially there's a whole like literally wilderness, like safety in numbers, like all these things that wild animals deal with. We kind of deal with in the, you know, you only have to be faster than the slowest guy. All these things like come into play when you're running away from big teams. It don't look like the easiest target. Yeah, positioning is key. All these things are kind of come into play when you're running away from teams. So it's fun, man. I've enjoyed it overall.
And even in that situation, because we were doing it the other night, we had like maybe 10 of us killing Callisto. A team would show up and we would all run, and it was kind of fun to see one of us is gonna die. Who's it gonna be?
Who's gonna be targeted?
Yeah.
And there's like strats you can start to do, like, and the bosses aren't OP enough that worlds are being camped yet or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like the gold farm isn't that high, so that's good. I like that it's kind of locked behind. Sometimes the gold is locked behind some powerful uniques, which makes it a little bit less sweaty than Rev Caves. You also have to pay to get in, which I've learned recently is like a really important thing, because back in Revs you didn't need to pay. So people just loop one item with like a crystal Halley, and they would just dump Halley specs into people, and that's why you got these like world wars going on.
Oh, okay.
Like the what was it? The cartel, the Venezuelan cartel versus like Rot or something.
Yeah.
That lasted like 72 hours straight of them fighting. So they would just one item each other.
Have you heard the side note? Have you heard the Planet Money podcast episode on?
Yes, I have. Oh. It's pretty good. They stop like halfway through the story. They get to some really good, like, yeah, it's great, dude. 100% highly recommend it.
Go listen to it. I think they bring on the YouTuber Kemp. Is that who?
Kemp Q.
Q, that's who it was, and he kind of breaks it down a little bit, but it's interesting. And Planet Money is a huge podcast, so there's so many people who have no idea what RuneScape is listening to that. I thought it was pretty neat.
Yeah, I think we mentioned it probably around the time it came out.
Yeah,
but definitely worth listening to if you haven't.
Yeah, it's a good show.
Yeah, you snuck in 3KC, grabbed a dragon pick.
yeah. The other night when we were doing Callisto, I got my dragon pick, which was fun.
Yeah, dude. Night 2, I actually did the Vedion solo boss, just practicing the mechanics, which are quite easy. And I pulled the Skull of Vedion.
I saw a picture of it. I wanted to ask.
So cool.
So
it's insane. Yeah.
I know we've mentioned it, but we'll just say it again. Every boss drops like an attachment to the rev weapon. So there's a bow, a mace, and a staff. The staff was like always useless because you needed the runes for the staff. And didn't you also need Ether?
Yeah,
Rev Ether, and
you could only auto cast on the normal spell book. It was terrible.
Oh, so that's brutal. Like I don't know who would have used it. This new attachment, you put it on, it gives you a spec, and it allows you to cast like a charged staff. So you would put the Ether in it, and then it just shoots. Is that how that works?
Mm-hmm. It's just like a trident.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, so I saw you got it. How have you used it?
Oh boy. It slaps. So I did on task at Scorpia, and I was hitting 61s.
What?
You could every 4 ticks, you could out heal the. You could just ignore the Scorpion healers. So I would just lob the freeze on Scorpia, and I would kill it before the freeze was over.
That's really cool.
It was really sick. And then I tried. You can swap it between the autocast version, and then you can. So like the trident version of it, and then you can swap it between the auto casting like ancients. So I slapped on some ancients, and I got a jellies task, and I was hitting 60s with ice barrage.
Whole 60s with ice barrage.
Yeah, it was insane. That was my max hit, was like 60 with the new imbued heart and like a cult Slayer helm and staff. So yep, really powerful. It's pretty cheap. It's probably like 15 mil or something right now. It'd get even cheaper. The reason why it's so cheap is the other ones are like sitting at like 50 mil or something, is because it's not useful at the bosses, which I find kind of weird. So currently the meta is you range Callisto, you melee Venenatis, and you melee Vedion.
Mm-hmm.
So the mace has got the most use, and then the crossbow, and then the mage, nothing. Like nothing's weak to mage. I thought it would have been more thematically fun if they made one of them weak to mage.
That would make
but I
sense.
guess they
right?
kind of just chose not to do that. So whatever.
Interesting. Yeah, that's strange, but anywho, these attachments make the weapons look really cool, which is awesome.
Oh my god, they're awesome. They're awesome.
So
have you used any of them yet?
No, I haven't. I just have the vanilla, the vanilla rev weapons.
No, still powerful.
Yeah, they're nice. So you've done the solo bosses. I haven't actually done the solo bosses yet. Do they feel like? What was your thoughts of the solo boss comparing it to the multi?
Oh, quite a bit easier. They don't hit nearly as hard.
Okay.
And the mechanics are the same though, but they have a smaller health pool and they don't hit as hard. And I'd imagine their drop rates are like significant. Like it's harder to get a drop there.
I see. Okay.
So that's my guess.
And
it's singles plus, so it's really easy to escape PKers.
Oh yeah.
Especially if you have any kind of experience tanking. Just because of the way the system comes in. So like when you jump in the cave, you get lobbed into the middle of the cave, and there's like a delay, so you can run away in time. You can fake going out of the door, and then if the PKer goes before you, then when they come back into the room, they'll be back in the middle of the room. So it's kind of you can break their legs, as I say, or cheese them out pretty quickly. There's some moves you can do, so it's good on both sides. So they're singles plus. Yeah, they're fine. I'd probably stick to the big ones though. They're a bit more engaging.
Okay, fair enough.
Also, it's a bit more exciting being in multi, and you can go with friends and stuff. So yeah.
They're like, so if you're someone who's listening and you kind of want to do some bossing, but you feel like you're a low level, but maybe you're kind of there, you just don't have the actual like skill level. Like maybe you have a hard time doing the fire cape. So you're like, how am I going to do these harder bosses? But if you get a team together, a boss like Callisto, super easy to do, very chill, and it feels good, and the loot's pretty decent.
Yeah, it's easy. It's about the same as fight caves.
Yeah,
but you're not by yourself, right? So your friends can help you, or your teammates.
Yeah, exactly. So it's such a great. Like I said, I have some friends that play it, and they saw me doing Nightmare before, and like I really want to do that. And it's like, man, you're not going to be able to do that for a long time. You could go to.
Yeah, you ain't gonna have fun.
Yeah, like you could go to the giant mole together, but that's not really fun. But taking them out to the wilderness for these bosses was fun. And then when PKers showed up and we're all running, it's kind of exciting. As long as you go in with the mindset of like, if you die, it's not a big deal.
I remember taking a friend to Next. They're like, I really want to go. I was like, okay, like bring your Ancient D'hide. You're not going to have fun. They brought Ancient D'hide, like Rune Crossbow, or sorry, Dragon Crossbow, Buckler. And you're like minimal, good gear, but like minimal entry level.
Yep.
And I was like, you're not going to have fun. And everyone else had like Armadillo, like max gear. And because of the way Next targeting works, they get targeted every time because they have the lowest defenses. Ooh. So in like a 6-man, like every other target was going back to them.
That sucks.
So in a kill that usually should have taken 3 brews, they used 13. So I was like, yeah, you should probably not do this one anymore.
Yeah, that's and that sucks.
But now there's more options, right? And you couldn't multi these no one multied these bosses before outside of Bingo.
Yeah. Because
like Callisto could stack you for 100 and he was tanky as hell.
And the loot system it didn't make sense. And like you're just a PvPer's wet dream.
It was garbage. It was pretty garbage loot for the most part too.
Yeah. So it's it's really nice. And I like how there's the 3 bosses. There's Vedion, Venenatis, Callisto. First off, they all got like graphical improvements. And the bosses look friggin' awesome. I think we talked about this last podcast.
How terrible Callisto looked until I saw how good the new one looks.
And like, I used to hate. I think we talked about this last podcast, but we'll just repeat it. I used to hate Vedion. I used to think that pet I didn't like it at all. But then you have the pet. You showed me it. Oh my god, it looks so awesome now. It looks amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So it's really cool. But what I like is, and Venenatus. I have that Venenatus pet from way before. Oh, so good. I'm bringing that guy everywhere. But I like how the bosses, they have like almost like different vibes. Like if you even look at the raids, each raid is a little bit different. You have like Toa, which you could do more casually. Theater of Blood is a little bit more try hard and more punishing. And the bosses are kind of like that in a way where if you've got a big group, Venenatus is impossible to do with too many people.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, these little spiders spawn, and the more people there are, the more spiders that spawn that you have to kill. And so we tried it. We had like 10 people or so, and we got destroyed the first kill. I was like, this isn't going to work. And then Vedion is similar, but less so. It's less of a problem, but there's like these lightning bolts that spawn. And the more people there are, the more lightning bolts you have to dodge. And so it can be tricky, but I've seen people like a PKer come in and there's a whole room full of PVMers. That PKer gets smoked by the damage because there's so many lightning bolts and they're just not prepared to dodge them. So that can happen. And then there's Callisto. So those two bosses are like kind of good to do if maybe you got a medium-sized team. But if you got a big team, you go to Callisto, and Callisto has an attack where he'll shoot like a magic attack at you at one random person, and then you got to pray mage. And then he'll also try to walk towards someone to do a melee attack. And you can freeze them or you can just run away. But both of those mechanics are so much easier to deal with when you have like 10 people. Because the chance of the magic attack hitting you, it's a 10% chance it's going to target you. And because you can freeze them, if you got like 3 or 4 people freezing, that Callisto isn't going anywhere. You don't got to worry about the melee attacks. So I really like that. You got a big team. You're like, well, let's go to Callisto. You got like a medium-sized team. Maybe we'll go to, I don't know, Vedion or something. So like they all kind of have a different vibe to it. But and a funny thing happened the other night so Heartless, you had hopped off at this point when we were doing Callisto together. We had a big group. But what's amazing is like you'll bump into groups of PvPers and they're just small teams. They're not that great. And if they're not being smart, the PVMers can easily kill the PvPer depending on the group. And that's what happened. We had this one person who would show up and trying to attack us, and he just kept coming back trying to attack us. But what was happening was he would attack a different person each time, and then we would kill him. And he kept coming back trying to kill us. He would bring better and better gear, trying to like thinking he could outsmart and KO one of us. But because we all had the PK prevention setting, it was so easy for him to hop in and then 4 of us just to jump on him, and we didn't have to worry about sculling. So that was a bit of a freak accident. He must have died 20 times. It was hilarious. But I love that, with a big enough group, you could, if you wanted to be a little more risky, bring out some DDSs and maybe not worry about sculling up if you don't bring like big items to lose.
I mean, there's incentive to fight back for sure, especially at the single plus bosses. Like you can definitely get kills, especially now with the Void Waker. Like if you have one,
yeah,
you can really get some people.
That's a really cool weapon. Yeah, I hope I can get one of those one day. It should be fun. So the last thing I wanted to ask before we kind of wrap things up, during the game jam, so this event that the JMods did back at Jagex HQ, they kind of spent a day coming up with their own concepts of updates. So we saw a bunch of different ideas, things as small as pet dogs. We have pet cats. Well, what about pet dogs? To something that was like kind of like the Inferno, but a little bit different, like a new sort of fight pits activity. But we also saw this huge expansion to the wilderness, and it was pretty big with a lot of new bosses and stuff. I'm surprised this update's been pretty well received on like social media and stuff. Do you think the idea of a wilderness expansion is more likely now that the wilderness bosses were pretty positive?
I would say 100%. Yeah. I don't see why they wouldn't be.
Is that something that you would want to see happen if you could choose? Like, could you pull dev time from some other project, some unknown project? Would you want to pull time away and put it towards this wilderness expansion?
I think the PvPers make up such a small percentage of our player base. If the recent poll is to be believed, something like 10 to 11%.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Which I could believe that. I think the best way forward for PvP is to be connected to PVM in some way. So the updates are benefiting both groups of players. That is the majority and the PvPers. I think PvP only updates are good. But I don't always think they're as successful because there's just less people engaging with them.
Yeah.
Something like Bounty Hunter is probably going to be successful, but there'll just be less people engaging with it. And I think through PVM is the way to introduce people into PvP. Like no more skull timers, so people can now feel comfortable running in AGS. And they're like, oh, this is fun. Let's go out with our friends because now there's options for multi. So just bringing in more bosses. I mean, maybe this is a biased view, but I just think that's the easiest way to guarantee success in the wilderness going forward, and to keep it positive for everybody involved. I mean, obviously PVMers get their own updates all the time. I'm not saying PvPers shouldn't, like things like Deadman, Bounty Hunter, whatever. But I do think that connecting the two moving forward is probably the easiest way to sustain any positive changes.
Yeah, I think you're right. Whereas like a PvP exclusive update, I want to say, let's look at the PvP arena, but that was that was a failed update if I ever seen one.
Yeah, that one was rough.
But it is only for a small population. But when you make a PVM update in the wilderness, that's also for the PvPers. The better an update is for PVMers, it's also better for PvPers because more people will be doing it, which means PvPers have more places to PK and they can make more money. You know what I mean? It kind of like balances it out.
It balances itself. There's a symbiotic relationship there that we can't ignore. You need food for the PKers to kill, so you need incentives for people to be out there. Mm-hmm. So they're just inherently connected to each other. And I think pure PvP is a lot more challenging to implement into the game.
Yeah, I agree. It's Yeah, wilderness has always been like where PvP is in this game, and I think it's like it's good. It's good to bring it to everyone, like the PVMer as well. And the thing about like the PvPers as well, as from like looking at this from a PVMer, this is a personal opinion, but I find it exciting. Like it's an element of excitement when somebody shows up and it's like, holy shit, I gotta get the fuck out of here.
Especially if you're with friends, it makes the experience more enjoyable, more unique too. Yeah, I like it overall.
Like, have you ever almost like you were getting attacked by a PvPer and you just barely got away and you're just like, woo! I should have died, but I didn't. And
yeah, for sure. I've had a few of those before.
Yeah, it feels good. Anyways, so anything else you wanted to mention before we turn off the lights over here?
No, I think that's a nice little mini episode to wrap it up. What about you? Any final thoughts on the bosses?
No, just the fact that I was surprised how much I enjoyed it. I knew I was going to like it, but I was like, this is awesome. I'm having so much fun PVMing with a bunch of other people. It's very casual. It's just I really like it. And
yeah, absolutely. Low barrier to entry. I think, and the community seems to have embraced it quite well.
That's great. Yeah, and I look forward to more updates similar to like this in the future.
I wonder how it'll settle when the newness kind of wears off. But I think it'll be a positive thing still.
I do too. It may be less if you're a solo player, you might have a different perspective, but that's why we always tout, come hang out in the Discord or the clan, because playing this game with more people is always more fun. And if you're an iron, you could still come boss with everyone else and you'll still get your loot. It's great.
Yeah, you dirty irons.
We can finally all play together. Jagex has finally said, fuck it. We'll let irons get loot, even if mains have also attacked these new bosses.
I think it's the way forward.
Yep.
For these kind of multi-boss designs.
Yeah, and I think they got to go back and maybe even look at some of the old designs and update them. But that might be a topic for another day.
What, corp? Are you a Reddit Andrew over there trying to come after my corp? Come after my Ellies?
You're not into that. Oh yeah, you got the 2 Ellies. I forgot about that.
We'll talk about that when we get to it. I have thoughts. I see both sides, but I've got thoughts.
Fair enough. That's for another dev blog when it's pitched, maybe pulled. Anyways, our clan is Clan Wild. Come hang out. We have a Discord, discord.gg/the wilderness. Also come hang out, come do some bossing with us. It's something I'm trying to do it's in my head. I'm like, every Friday, this is what we're going to do. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I'm going to try to do it this Friday. So anyways, that's it from me. Let's just go out with the main theme song. That's what the mini episodes will do. We'll end with the song that we introed into with. All right, guys, thanks so much for listening. And we'll see you on the next one.
See ya.
If you want to feel more connected to humanity and a little less alone, listen to Beautiful Anonymous. Each week, I take a phone call from one random anonymous human being. There's over 400 episodes in our back catalog. You get to feel connected to all these different people all over the world. Recent episodes include one where a lady survived a murder attempt by her own son. But then the week before that, we just talked about Star Trek. It can be anything. It's unpredictable. It's raw. It's real. Get Beautiful Anonymous wherever you listen to podcasts.